NBC29 HD News at 6.
The horns were just blaring, blaring, blaring. And so I got my dogs in, and then I heard just an enormous crash.
A terrifying scene as an Amtrak train filled with Republican lawmakers collides with a garbage truck near Crozet.
I didn't feel any slowing before the impact.
Just terrifying.
Tonight we're live with team coverage from Crozet and from Charlottesville, where lawmakers are reacting to the deadly accident.
We really weren't sure what's happening, and it was quite scary.
Your NBC29 team coverage starts right now. Thanks for joining us tonight. Federal investigators are on the scene in Crozet, where a chartered Amtrak train carrying members of Congress crashed into a trash truck.
And one person on that time disposal company truck is dead. Several others are receiving treatment at the hospital. We begin our team coverage tonight on the scene of this developing story. NBC29's Matt Tallhelm is live in Crozet. Good evening, Matt.
Yeah, good evening, Steve and Casey. We are just off of Lanetown Road, just outside of downtown Crozet. Those federal investigators are here on the scene. We are awaiting the NTSB investigative team to arrive here, but we have seen FBI recovery teams here, as well as the Federal Railroad Administration. Let me step out of the way, and you can see this is what is left, the wreckage of that Amtrak engine that slammed into the trash truck on Lanetown Road at the track crossing. Now, that's about a quarter-mile east of where this train came to a screeching halt. This accident happened around 11:15 this morning on the tracks belonging to Buckingham Branch Railroad. The chartered Amtrak train was carrying those Republican members of Congress, their staffers, and security, including Capitol Police. Amtrak tells us 2 crew members and 2 passengers suffered minor injuries. We saw emergency responders remove 2 people on stretchers from that train this afternoon, including a congressman. Albemarle County Police say 2 other people on the trash truck were taken to UVA Medical Center. Right now, the medical center tells us one of those people, their condition is critical at this hour. Right now, police are working with federal investigators out here on the scene.
They're really trying to break down the scope. The scene is fairly big.
Now, this train was headed to the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia for a Republican retreat, and from what we can see in the front wheel of the engine came off the track, so it did partially derail here as it came to a halt, again, about a quarter mile from where the crash itself happened. Transportation Security Administration officials, we've seen them on the scene out here this afternoon. Again, they are waiting for NTSB investigators to arrive, but as you can see, there are crews out here, investigators on the scene checking out this engine of the Amtrak train that came to a halt here after hitting that trash truck. Now, we have gone through federal records, and these federal records that we've been able to come up from the Federal Railroad Administration show us that there was another accident here back in 1999 at the Lanetown Road crossing. That involved a CSX freight train. It hit a truck that was stuck between the tracks there. We don't know if that's the situation in this case today. No one was injured back in that investigation, but just up the road here at the crossing where this accident happened, it is a signalized crossing. There are red flashing lights as well as the X that says a railroad crossing is there. There are arms that come down on that to block off the road. Those were down at the scene once the crash happened. We don't know if they were down when that truck came through there and was hit by the train, but that's something that obviously these investigators will be working to figure out. Now, we also were told that a crane is on its way here to remove the engine from the scene here as investigators begin to wrap up their on-scene investigation. The rest of the investigation, though, through the NTSB will take some time.
All right, Matt Tallhelm kicking off our team coverage live in Crozet tonight. Thank you, Matt. 2 members of Congress who represent parts of Central Virginia and the Shenandoah Valley were not on that train today.
Yeah, NBC29's Henry Graff spoke with members of Congress as they got off the train here in Charlottesville.
Yeah, and those on board, including Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, were very shaken by that crash today. 5th District Congressman Tom Garrett and 6th District Congressman Bob Goodlatte, as we said, were not on that train this morning. Garrett was at his office in Washington when the collision happened. Goodlatte drove separately to that GOP retreat. Those on board got off the train in Charlottesville at the Amtrak station to board buses. Senator Flake spoke with us. He says they were moving at a pretty good speed when they felt that impact. He described that moment of impact as everyone being thrown around the train car. Then he and other members of Congress jumped into action to help the injured.
I didn't work on that man. I was with the other one, but they worked on him for quite a while. And and tried just about every way to revive him, but he was deceased, I think. I think it was quite an impact that hit obviously it was, that hit the garbage truck, and it looked like he bore the brunt of it.
Our hearts are with you. I don't know exactly how it happened. There has to be an investigation. If there was some failure, some of the equipment at that crossing, we don't know.
Senator Flake says he helped the seriously injured person for about 20 minutes before helping them onto an ambulance. Congressman Goodlatte and Garrett both issued statements today about that crash, and they are offering up their prayers for those involved both on the train and those who were on the ground.
Thank you, Henry.
Thanks, Henry.
Well, people who live near the crash scene in Crozet rushed out of their homes when they heard the big boom today.
Some told NBC29's Pete DeLuca it's like nothing they've ever seen before. He's on the scene in Crozet with their reactions. Good evening, Pete.
Steve Casey, I spoke with a neighbor who says she has lived here for more than 30 years and has never seen anything like this. She says that that body was in her yard with the tarp over it. And now you can see how close these train tracks are to the houses that run along here. I spoke to a neighbor here earlier today, Carrie Heilman. She says she was home trying to get her dogs back inside when the collision happened. She estimates her yard is about a half mile from the railroad crossing, and it took the train until just before her house to come to a complete stop.
I heard the train beeping and coming, but typically it's just a couple of horns, and this was just constant. Like the horns were just blaring, blaring, blaring. And so I got my dogs in, and then I heard just an enormous crash. And when I looked out the window, I saw the train coming to a stop, and that it definitely had hit something.
Another homeowner says she was home making lunch when she heard the impact and says it sounded like dynamite exploding. Now, neighbors tell me that Time Disposal, the company of that trash truck that was involved in this crash, does service this neighborhood, and they're very concerned about the men on that truck who were injured and killed, whether they were their regular trash men or whether they know them.
Pete DeLuca live in Crozet tonight. Thank you, Pete. Now, as we mentioned, as authorities worked the scene in Crozet, they did manage to get the train and its passengers back to Charlottesville, where buses were waiting for them.
But those buses weren't the only ones there waiting for them. NBC29's Victoria Rezzolo picks up our team coverage now from our Charlottesville newsroom. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Casey and Steve. Dozens of people, along with Charlottesville and state police, anxiously awaited the train's arrival on West Main Street right outside the Amtrak station. More than a handful of Quicks buses based out of Stanton arrived at this Amtrak station this afternoon to shuffle those passengers off of the train. Bomb-sniffing dogs could be seen checking the buses before people got on. People who live nearby say the incident is unfortunate. The Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Frank Larkin says the response proved all the training they do was worth it.
The interagency response here, no notice response to this incident, was superb. And as you can see, that the members had been relocated from the train and moved on to buses for their final journey to their site.
It's kind of surprising to think that, the Speaker of the House and others will probably be coming through right here, next to my house.
Charlottesville Fire had an engine and ambulance that also responded to the scene. Now, once everyone was off the train and shuffled onto those buses, Sergeant-at-Arms Frank Larkin says they continued to their retreat destination in West Virginia.
All right, Victoria Rezzolo live for us tonight. Thanks, Victoria.